My brothers and sisters, every single one of us here has faced moments when our minds became our greatest enemy. Thoughts of doubt, fear, and failure replay again and again until they begin to convince us that we are weak, hopeless, and trapped. It is not the world outside that defeats us first, but the whispers within that convince us we cannot rise. If the heart is chained by negativity, even the brightest opportunities appear as burdens, and even the smallest challenges seem like mountains. But let me remind you, you were not created to live as a prisoner of your own mind. That negativity you carry is not who you truly are, it is simply a cloud passing through, a program written into your thinking by past hurts, failures, and influences around you. Just as you can delete unwanted files from a device, you can also reprogram your mind, clear away the noise, and restore the purity of your thoughts. You have far more control over what you allow to remain in your heart than you realize. The truth is, your Creator has honored you with the ability to rise above despair, to silence those destructive whispers, and to replace them with hope, gratitude, and trust. When your mind becomes aligned with positivity, with faith, and with higher purpose, your entire life begins to change. Problems no longer look impossible. Challenges become stepping stones, and even pain becomes a lesson that strengthens you. The same mind that once dragged you down can become the very force that lifts you up. So today, let us take this journey together to understand how to break free from toxic thinking, how to guard our hearts from the traps of negativity, and how to cultivate a mindset that brings peace, courage, and success. If you are tired of being held back by your thoughts, if you are longing for a life of clarity and inner strength, then stay with me till the end, because the keys to reprogramming your mind are waiting for you. My beloved brothers and sisters, have you ever noticed how the same situation can break one person but uplift another? Two individuals can face the same challenge, yet their outcomes differ greatly. Why? It is not the situation itself that determines the result, but the thoughts they nurture in their minds. One may allow despair to dominate, while the other fills their heart with hope and determination. This is because our thoughts are not mere passing ideas, they are seeds, and what you plant in your heart and water with repetition eventually grows into the garden of your life. Think of your mind as fertile soil. If you sow seeds of negativity, doubt, fear, self-pity, do not be surprised if your life begins to mirror that darkness. You will start to see failure before even attempting success. You will expect disappointment before even taking the first step. On the other hand, if you choose to plant seeds of positivity, trust, gratitude, and determination, then over time, your life begins to flourish. The soil does not discriminate between good and bad seeds. It simply grows what you plant. In the same way, your mind will produce what you constantly feed it. Many of us underestimate the power of our daily thoughts. A single negative thought may seem harmless, but repeated daily, it becomes a belief. And once it becomes a belief, it begins to shape your behavior, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. If you keep telling yourself, "I am weak, I cannot do it, I am destined to fail," you will begin to live as though those words are true, even if the reality is otherwise. You may have all the abilities, all the opportunities, and all the support around you, but a mind filled with negativity will blind you to it. Consider how a fearful person views the world. Every door looks closed, every path looks dangerous, and every opportunity seems like a trap. They are imprisoned not by the world outside, but by the thoughts inside. Meanwhile, a person with a positive mindset can face the exact same situation and say, "Yes, it is difficult, but I will try. Yes, I may fail, but failure will teach me. Yes, it is painful, but perhaps there is wisdom hidden in it." That person moves forward while the other remains stuck. The only difference is the quality of their thinking. This is why our thoughts are not to be taken lightly. They are not just background noise in the mind, they are the architects of our reality. They shape how we interpret events, how we respond to challenges, and even how we see ourselves. If your inner dialogue is constantly filled with negativity, your life will reflect that negativity. But if your inner voice begins to align with faith, courage, and trust, then your life will begin to move in that direction. It is important to understand that thoughts do not remain hidden. They leak out into your words, your actions, and even the energy you carry around you. When you walk into a room full of worry and despair, people can feel it, even if you do not say a word. In the same way, when you carry thoughts of peace, confidence, and hope, others feel uplifted just by being around you. This shows how deeply your inner world influences the outer one. Therefore, the first step towards a better life is not changing your circumstances, but changing the way you think about them. If you want peace, you must cultivate peaceful thoughts. If you want success, you must nurture thoughts of discipline and effort. If you want to overcome fear, you must replace it with thoughts of courage and trust. Every transformation begins with a thought, and every downfall also begins with a thought. Which direction you move in depends entirely on what you allow to live in your mind. So, my dear friends, ask yourself, what thoughts are you entertaining daily? Are you replaying your failures or imagining your victories? Are you filling your mind with doubt or strengthening it with gratitude and faith? Remember, your mind is like a mirror. It reflects whatever you place before it. If you constantly feed it negativity, it will show you a world of darkness. But if you feed it hope, it will reflect a world full of possibilities. Life is not always in your control, but the thoughts you choose to hold onto are. And once you master that inner world, the outer world begins to align itself in surprising and beautiful ways. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest deceptions of the mind is when it convinces us that negativity is who we are. You may have heard that inner voice whispering, "You are not good enough, you will never succeed, people will never respect you, life is against you." Over time, you begin to accept those whispers as part of your identity, as if you were born with them. But let me remind you, that is not your true essence. You were not created with doubt in your heart. You were not brought into this world with hopelessness written in your soul. Negativity is not your natural state. It is a pattern you have picked up along the way, and just as it was learned, it can also be unlearned. Think about a child. A child enters this world pure, curious, and full of life. They see possibility in everything they believe they can climb, they can run, they can build, and they can dream without limits. When a child falls, they may cry, but moments later, they try again. They are not afraid of failure because they do not yet carry the baggage of negative thinking. So where does it come from? It comes from the words spoken around us, the experiences we go through, the disappointments we face, and the people we allow to shape our environment. Slowly, layer upon layer, negativity is learned until we mistake it as our own reflection. But the truth is, just because you have carried negative thoughts for years does not mean they belong to you. If you wear a heavy coat for too long, you may begin to think it is part of your body, but once you remove it, you realize you were free all along. In the same way, negativity is like that heavy garment, uncomfortable, restricting, and unnecessary. It was placed upon you by circumstances, but it is not you. Your essence is strength, resilience, faith, and clarity. Negativity is only a shadow that can be dissolved with light. The danger of believing negativity is your identity, is that it chains you to a false version of yourself. You begin to say, "This is just who I am always anxious, I am always angry, I am always unlucky." But no, my brothers and sisters, that is not who you are, that is simply who you have become through repetition of thought. And anything that was learned through repetition can also be unlearned through new repetition. The same way a wrong habit was built step by step, a right habit can also be built step by step. Consider the way the mind is programmed. If for years you have told yourself, "I am not worthy," your mind has accepted that script and now plays it automatically. But if you begin to replace it daily with, "I am capable, I am worthy, I am guided, I am strong," at first your mind may resist. It will say, "No, this is not true." But with consistency, it begins to adjust. Slowly, the old negative script fades and the new positive one takes root. That is the power of reprogramming, and it proves that negativity is not permanent. It is also important to realize that many negative thoughts are echoes of other people's voices. Maybe someone once told you that you would never succeed, and you replayed that statement until you believed it. Maybe society, family, or friends planted seeds of doubt that you kept watering unconsciously. But should their words dictate the story of your life? Absolutely not. Their opinion is not your reality. Their judgment is not your destiny. The only voice that deserves to define you is the voice that reminds you of your true worth, the voice of faith, gratitude, and possibility. So, do not carry negativity as though it were your birthmark. It is not. You were created with purpose, strength, and dignity. Negativity is like dust that has settled over time, and dust can be wiped away. The moment you begin to see it for what it is, the moment you say, "This is not me, this is just a habit of thought I have carried," that is the moment freedom begins. You are not broken, you are not weak, you are simply covered in layers of learned negativity that can be peeled away. My beloved friends, remember this. Negativity may have walked with you for years, but it does not have to walk with you forever. It is not your essence, it is not your identity, it is not your destiny. You have the power to unlearn it, to rewrite your script, and to return to the pure state of clarity, peace, and strength that was always within you. And when you free yourself from this false layer, you will discover that the real you, the one beneath all the doubt and fear, was never lost. It was simply waiting to be uncovered. My beloved brothers and sisters, one of the most powerful tools you have against negative thinking is faith in the Almighty, faith in yourself, and faith in the wisdom of life's journey. When faith enters the heart, fear begins to leave. When gratitude fills the soul, complaints and negativity lose their grip. These two qualities, faith and gratitude, are like light in the midst of darkness. They do not allow the shadows of despair to dominate, and they transform even the most difficult situations into opportunities for growth. Negativity thrives where there is doubt. When you doubt yourself, when you doubt the mercy of your Creator, when you doubt the possibility of change, then every problem appears greater than it is. Doubt magnifies the mountain, while faith reduces it to a climbable hill. Faith whispers to your heart, "This too shall pass." There is wisdom in this pain. There is hope in this trial. Faith does not mean ignoring reality. It means seeing reality through the eyes of trust, knowing that even when you do not understand the plan, there is a plan greater than your own. And when your heart rests in that trust, negative thinking loses its poison. Gratitude works in a similar way. Have you ever noticed how negative thoughts often begin with comparison and dissatisfaction? Why do they have more than me? Why did this happen to me? Why is my life so difficult? These questions create a cycle of unhappiness. But the moment you shift your focus to gratitude, to what you have, to the blessings around you, to the opportunities still available, the heart begins to soften. Suddenly, you realize that no matter how heavy your burden is, there are countless gifts you still carry. Gratitude is the medicine that dissolves envy, fear, and despair. A person who wakes up with gratitude is already wealthy, even if their pockets are empty. Why? Because they see blessings where others see nothing. They see the gift of health, the gift of breath, the gift of family, the gift of faith. And when the heart is occupied with gratitude, there is little room left for negativity. You cannot complain and be grateful at the same time. You cannot live in constant fear and in true faith at the same time. One will push the other away. The choice is yours. Will you let doubt dominate, or will you allow faith and gratitude to flourish? Some people ask, how can I be grateful when life is so difficult? The answer is simple. Gratitude does not mean ignoring your pain. It means recognizing that even within your pain, there are still blessings. When you are sick, gratitude reminds you that you still have life. When you lose something, gratitude reminds you of what remains. When you are tested, faith reminds you that patience brings reward. The pain may remain, but the heaviness of negativity is lifted. Gratitude does not erase hardship, but it gives you the strength to endure it with dignity. Faith and gratitude together create a shield around the heart. They silence the destructive whispers of negativity. They remind you that you are not alone, that you are guided, that every struggle is temporary, and that every difficulty carries ease within it. Without them, the mind falls easily into cycles of hopelessness. With them, the mind rises above the storm, like a bird that flies even while the winds rage below. And the beauty is this: faith and gratitude are choices. They are not dependent on your circumstances. A person with everything in the world can live without them and still be miserable. A person with very little can live with them and be at peace. What matters is the perspective you choose each day. Will you dwell on what is missing, or will you celebrate what is present? Will you focus on fear, or will you place your trust in the one who controls all affairs? So, my dear brothers and sisters, if you wish to break the cycle of negative thinking, anchor your heart in faith and train your eyes in gratitude. Begin each day with the words, "I trust, I believe, I am thankful." Let these words wash away the doubts that try to settle in your mind. The more you practice them, the more your heart will begin to shift. Slowly, negativity will lose its grip, and you will discover a peace that no trial can take away. Faith will guide your steps, gratitude will lighten your load, and together they will transform your entire outlook on life. My dear brothers and sisters, the mind is like a recording device. Whatever is played repeatedly becomes etched into its memory, and over time it begins to play that script automatically. If negative thoughts have been repeated in your heart for years, "I am weak, I am a failure, I am unlucky, I am not worthy," then the mind will accept those words as its reality. But the beauty is this: just as it has been programmed with negativity, it can also be reprogrammed with positivity. And the tool to do this is affirmation, replacing the destructive words you've been telling yourself with words of hope, strength, and truth. Think about it. Every time you repeat something to yourself, you are giving it permission to settle deeper into your heart. If you keep saying, "I cannot do this," your mind will begin to shut down possibilities. If you keep saying, "I am worthless," you will begin to live as though that statement is true. Words carry energy, and that energy shapes your behavior. But when you deliberately choose to affirm the opposite, "I am capable, I am guided, I am strong, I am grateful," the mind begins to shift. At first, it feels strange because your old programming resists change. But with consistency, the old script fades and the new one takes root. Affirmations are not empty words, they are reminders of the truth that often gets buried beneath layers of doubt. When you tell yourself, "I am strong," you are not lying to yourself, you are uncovering a strength that was always there but hidden. When you affirm, "I am guided," you are reminding your soul that your Creator has never abandoned you. Affirmations are like light switches. Every time you repeat them, you bring light into a dark corner of your mind, and with enough light, the shadows of negativity cannot remain. The science of the mind also supports this. Studies show that the brain builds pathways based on repeated thoughts. The more a thought is repeated, the stronger that pathway becomes. Negative thoughts carve deep, heavy roads in your brain, making it easier for your mind to travel down them again and again. But the moment you begin to repeat new, positive affirmations, you start building new roads. At first, they are small and weak, but with time and consistency, they become stronger. Eventually, your mind begins to prefer these new positive roads over the old negative ones. This is what it means to rewire the brain. But here is the secret, my brothers and sisters. Affirmations only work when they are consistent and intentional. Saying them once and expecting your life to change is like planting a seed and refusing to water it. Transformation requires repetition. Just as negativity took years to build, positivity also needs patience to settle in. Imagine if you began every morning by affirming, "Today is a gift, I am capable, I am at peace, I am grateful." Over time, Your entire perception of life would shift, because your mind would be trained to search for what aligns with those affirmations. It is also powerful to connect affirmations with faith. Instead of only saying, "I am strong," say, "I am strong because I am supported by my Creator." Instead of only saying, "I am capable," say, "I am capable because I am guided and blessed." When affirmations are tied to faith, they become more than motivational statements, they become spiritual truths that the heart embraces deeply. And when the heart accepts them, negativity begins to crumble. Remember, negative thoughts will not disappear overnight. They may still whisper in your mind even as you affirm the positive, but the difference is you no longer allow them to dominate. You acknowledge them, then replace them. Slowly, their voice grows weaker while the voice of positivity grows stronger. This is the power of affirmations, not that they erase negativity instantly, but that they build a stronger, louder, truer voice within you. So, do not underestimate the power of what you say to yourself every day. Your words are shaping your mind, and your mind is shaping your life. If you want to break free from the prison of negativity, then begin to speak life into your soul. Affirm your strength, affirm your gratitude, affirm your purpose. Even when you don't feel it, say it because feelings follow repetition. And soon, the affirmations that once felt forced will become your natural truth. My dear friends, replacing negativity with affirmations is not just positive thinking. It is reclaiming the narrative of your life. It is telling your mind, "I will no longer accept lies of weakness. I will no longer live as though I am defeated. I choose to live in strength, in hope, and in gratitude." And the moment you make that choice daily, you begin to rewire your mind, and in doing so, you begin to rewire your life. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the greatest influences on your thinking, your mindset, and even your faith is the company you keep. The people around you are not neutral. They either push you closer to positivity, hope, and growth, or they pull you deeper into negativity, doubt, and despair. Whether you realize it or not, every conversation, every interaction, and every friendship plants seeds in your heart. Some seeds grow into strength, courage, and gratitude. Others grow into fear, jealousy, and complaint. That is why choosing your company wisely is not just a matter of social preference, it is a matter of protecting your mind and soul. Think for a moment. How many times have you felt drained after spending time with someone who only complains, criticizes, and speaks ill of others? Even if you entered that gathering with peace, you likely left feeling heavy. This is because negativity is contagious. Words of doubt and gossip spread like smoke. You may not see their effect immediately, but they slowly cloud your clarity. On the other hand, when you sit with those who uplift you, who remind you of your blessings, who speak of solutions instead of problems, you feel lighter. Their positivity, their faith, and their gratitude rub off on you as well. This is why it is said, your company is a reflection of who you are becoming. The human heart is impressionable. Just as water takes the shape of its container, your mind begins to take the shape of your environment. If your closest friends are those who constantly focus on the negative, you will naturally begin to think as they think. You may even begin to adopt their fears, their habits, and their outlook on life without realizing it. But if you surround yourself with people who believe in growth, who live with faith, who carry hope in their hearts, then you too will begin to see the world differently. Their light will strengthen your own light. Some of the greatest transformations in life do not happen through books or lectures, but through the silent influence of good company. A friend who reminds you to trust in your Creator during hardship plants more hope in you than 100 negative voices could ever erase. A companion who shows gratitude in the face of difficulty teaches you, without words, that life is not about what happens to us, but about how we respond. Being in the presence of people like this is itself a form of nourishment for the soul. But let us be honest, it is not always easy to leave negative company. Sometimes it is family, sometimes it is old friends, sometimes it is people you feel obligated to stay around. In such cases, it becomes important to set boundaries to guard your heart while still being kind. You may not be able to change their behavior, but you can limit how much of it you allow into your mind, and just as importantly, you can make sure to balance it by seeking out company that uplifts you. Attend gatherings that remind you of faith. Spend time with those who live with purpose. Listen to voices that inspire hope and discipline. The more you fill your circle with such people, the stronger your shield becomes against negativity. Remember also that you yourself are part of someone else's company. Just as you are influenced, you are also influencing. Ask yourself, when people leave your presence, do they feel heavier or lighter? Do they feel encouraged or discouraged? Do they feel closer to hope or deeper in despair? Your words, your energy, and your outlook ripple out to others. Strive to be the person who uplifts, who speaks good, who reminds others of blessings. By being that light, you not only strengthen others, but also reinforce positivity within yourself. My beloved friends, protecting your mind from negativity is not only about what you think privately, but also about who you choose to allow into your inner circle. Your company is like the air you breathe. You cannot live in toxic air and expect to remain healthy. Choose the air that nourishes your soul. Seek companions who remind you of goodness, who pull you towards gratitude, who encourage your growth. And if you cannot find them immediately, then begin by becoming that person yourself, and you will naturally attract those of the same kind. Surround yourself with those who lift you up, and watch how your thoughts begin to change. Fill your environment with light, and darkness will find no place to settle. This is the power of company. It shapes the quality of your thoughts, and through your thoughts, it shapes the quality of your life. My beloved brothers and sisters, the journey of reprogramming your mind is not about becoming someone new. It is about returning to who you truly are. Deep within, you were created with strength, with clarity, and with light. Negativity may have clouded your heart, but it was never your essence. By guarding your thoughts, choosing the right company, practicing gratitude, strengthening your faith, and affirming words of hope, you can break free from destructive cycles and step into a life of peace and purpose. Remember, your mind can be your greatest prison, but it can also be your greatest freedom. The choice lies in how you train it each day. Every step you take towards positive thinking is a step towards a better life, a more peaceful soul, and a closer connection with your Creator. Do not wait for the perfect moment to begin. Start today, even with small changes. Replace a single negative thought with a positive one. Choose gratitude over complaint. Choose faith over fear. Choose silence over gossip. Choose company that uplifts rather than drags you down. These small choices, repeated consistently, will rewire your mind and transform your reality. The storms of life may still come, but with a reprogrammed mind, you will not be swept away by them. Instead, you will find yourself standing firm, anchored in trust, surrounded by light and guided by clarity. And when others see the peace you carry, you will not only have transformed your own life, but will become an inspiration for theirs as well. Thank you, my dear brothers and sisters, for lending me your time and your heart. May you find strength in your thoughts, peace in your soul, and blessings in every step of your journey. May your mind become a garden of positivity that spreads beauty to all around you. And may you always walk in light, no matter how dark the world may seem.